Yeah.
Same thing, did I do that?
It's okay.
I'm more. Thank you.
Do you have green tea, Sada? If you can make one, actually. Awesome. Okay. But you're going to sit at the registry too? Yeah. We'll make green tea. Oh, that's right.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله خاتم المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. For those who are here yesterday, you got a brief introduction, but I just want to repeat it and add on some things to what you may have heard yesterday. I'm not the most eloquent person to talk about Shaykh Samer, and for sure I'm not the most qualified person, but I'll do my best, inshallah. Shaykh Samer Al-Nass comes from Damascus, actually. He's still living there. He has, to say the least, he's a master in a lot of different sciences, Islamic sciences. He's a master in Aqidah and fiqh. He's a master in hadith, in Qur'an, and tasawwuf. To name a few of his qualifications, he studied Qur'an, for those of you who are familiar with the sciences of the Qur'an, with Shaykh Muhammad Sukkar. He's one of the late great Qurra of Sham, of the Levant. And he took from him the narration of al-Durra and al-Shatibiyya. And he has qualifications as well in Tayyibah. In Hadith, he studied with Shaykh al-Fadani. He's an Indonesian Shaykh who lived in Mecca and took from a lot of the people who used to come to Mecca. Shaykh al-Fadani studied with them. In Aqidah, he studied with Shaykh al-Islami. And for those of you who know some of the Mashayikh of Syria, you will have heard of Shaykh al-Islami's name. And he also studied with Shaykh Lutfi Fayyumi. And then, there's many more that I don't know. And you could read the biography online, and there's many that aren't even listed there. But Shaykh Samer Al-Nass, mashallah, and yet I think, to say the least, he's one of the great scholars of our time. In addition to all this, he studied medicine in the University of Damascus, and then he came and did residency here in the U.S. decades ago, and he was qualified in internal medicine. And now over there, in addition to all the teaching he does, he also runs a clinic, a medical clinic. And subhanAllah, in his medical clinic, he has people coming to read Qur'an to him, and he teaches and he gives ijazah in Qur'an while he's at the clinic, in addition to the teaching he does at the mosque. So I don't want to take much more of the time. We have Shaykh Samer sitting up here, so inshallah. Oh, and also we have just some of the ground rules. So we have Omar Hassan's going to give some of the ground rules.
In terms of, so normally we're not that strict about registration and sign in and sign out, but in this case, inshallah, we're going to be doing an ijazah of audition. And so the qualification of getting that ijazah is listening to the book in its entirety. On the ijazah form, we have three options that you heard: all of the book, most of the book, or parts of the book. So even if you do have to, if you're only going to be able to make it for parts of the program where you have to leave sometime in the middle, there is a qualification on the ijazah that says that you were there for not the entirety of the book, but for a majority of it, or for a less part of it. The way that we're going to keep track of this is that every person is given a name tag. We have one color today and then another color for tomorrow. In addition to that, you're going to register in the morning. We have sign-in times in the morning. And then whenever you're leaving, we're going to leave this on an honor basis, that we have the forms on the front, because we don't want to leave somebody in the back at the registration table at all times just watching everybody. So on your way out, if you need to use the bathroom, if you need to grab something from your car, if you need to do something like that, go ahead and do a sign out time and a sign in time when you get back here. And inshallah, that way we have a good idea of how much of the program you attended and how much of the book that you heard. So inshallah, when we print out the ijazah, we can do it in the most correct way possible, inshallah. And so inshallah, we'll start off with the program with Shaykh Samer.
Can you just say when the break time so people can...
Yeah, so I don't
For
let me pull up the
questions.
schedule. We'll pull up the schedule. The schedule online, we're going to try and stick to it as close as possible. It leaves a good amount of time for lunch to go around in the area. There's a lot of Zabiha restaurants and a lot of good restaurants in the area. And so there should be ample time for that. We're also going to take breaks with Sidi Muaz for some nasheed breaks. It's relaxing for everybody, inshallah. The schedule online, do you have it?
The first break will be at 11.
For
Okay,
the questions, you know what the idea.
Okay. The first break is going to be at 11:10, inshallah. In terms of the questions, we're going to try something different. Normally we have the questions, and if Sheikh, you agree with this, normally we have the questions.
We'll try it, see how it
Okay. Normally we wait until the end to take the questions, but we wanted to give this class a little bit more of a close feeling, and so we're going to allow for questions. If you have a question, go ahead and raise your hand. On the sister's side, I'm going to put a table in the front over here if you want to write down anything and put it on this table over here, and then we'll grab it and ask the Shaykh, inshallah. And then we'll try that out for a couple of sessions. If it becomes distracting from the course, again, we have this book that we have to finish over these 2 days, inshallah. So if it starts taking up too much time, then we'll revert to the old method, which is gathering questions and answering them at the end of sessions or at the beginning of sessions, inshallah. Okay, any questions, or are we good? Inshallah, we'll start, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله لقد جاءت رسل ربنا بالحق سبحانك يا ربنا لا نحصي ثناء عليك أنت كما أثنيت على نفسك نستغفرك ونتوب إليك وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيد الأولين والآخرين وعلم السابقين وقائد الغر المحجلين وشفيع المذنبين وسيد ولد آدم أجمعين اللهم صل وسلم وبارك عليه وعلى آله الغر الميامين وأصحابه نجوم الدين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين وعنا معهم برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا اللهم انفعنا بما علمتنا وعلمنا ما ينفعنا وزدنا علما وفقهنا إذا علمتنا. I'm going to recite the Arabic text, then the one sitting at the table will recite the English translation, and then if I have some comments, we'll mention it about this. أيها الولد المقدمة بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين والصلاة والسلام على نبي محمد وآله أجمعين. اعلم أن واحدا من الطلبة المتقدمين لازم خدمة الشيخ الإمام زين الدين حجة الإسلام أبي حامد بن محمد الغزالي قدس الله روحه واشتغل بالتحصيل وقراءة العلم عليه حتى جمع دقائق العلوم واستكمل فضائل النفس ثم أنه تفكر يوما في حال نفسه وخطر على باله وقال إني قرأت أنواع من العلوم وصرفت ريعان عمري على تعلمها وجمعها والآن ينبغي لي أن أعلم أي نوعها ينفعني غدا ويؤنسني في قبري وأي لا ينفعني حتى أتركه كما قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم اللهم أعوذ بك من علم لا ينفع. فاستمرت هذه الفكرة حتى كتب إلى حضرة الشيخ حجة الإسلام محمد الغزالي رحمة الله تعالى استفتاءه وسأله مسائل والتمس نصيحة ودعاء. قال وإن كان مصنفات الشيخ كالإحياء وغيره تشتمل على الجواب مسائل لكن مقصودي أن يكتب الشيخ حاجتي في ورقات تكون معي مدة حياتي وأعمل بما فيها مدة عمري إن شاء الله تعالى. فكتب الشيخ هذه الرسالة إليه في جوابه والله أعلم.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. One of the senior students who had studied under and served the Shaykh Imam Hujjat al-Islam Zainuddin Abu Hamid bin Muhammad al-Ghazali, may Allah sanctify his soul, and applied himself towards the acquisition and the study of knowledge prescribed for him in order to master the minutest details of the sciences and to perfect the refinement of the self. Then one day he pondered over the state of his self and the following thoughts came to his mind. He said to himself, I have acquired various disciplines of knowledge, spending the prime of my life in learning and accumulating this knowledge. Now I ought to find out what knowledge will benefit me tomorrow and will be my companion in the grave, and what knowledge is useless to me so that I may abandon it. As the Messenger of Allah ﷺ has said, O Allah, I seek refuge with thee from knowledge that does not benefit. This thought lingered in his mind for some time and finally led him to writing to his eminent Shaykh, al-Islam Muhammad Ghazali. May Allah have mercy on him, seeking his learned opinion and asking him regarding various matters and requesting the Imam's advice and prayers. Thus he wrote, although the Shaykh's compilations like Ihyā, Revival of the Religious Science, one of the most prominent books of Imam Ghazali, and his other writings contain the answers to my queries, it is my desire that the Shaykh may put the object of my quest in writing on paper that I may carry with me as long as I live, and act upon it for the rest of my life, God willing. Hence the Shaykh sent forth the following reply to a student, and Allah knows best.
Few points I would like to highlight. Firstly, he said in Arabic, دقائق العلوم. Okay, I did not know how it was translated, but anyway, here, all of us, we should have the recognition between the basic, essential, fundamental sciences and something that is above it. It starts in the Holy Qur'an. Sayyidina Ibn Abbas, he said the interpretation of the Qur'an of 4 categories. One is related to Arabic language. The second one, no one has the excuse when he doesn't know it. This is very important, okay? No one has the excuse when he doesn't know it. Why? Because when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, أَقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةِ, all Muslims, they are entitled to understand what the meaning of salah. Atu zakah and you name. And then he mentioned about another style of science. He said, لا يعلمه إلا الراسخون في العلم. Those who are well established, in their knowledge. And number 4, it's not known for anyone except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I think, I don't know how accurate is going to be my assumption. In all Islamic sciences, you have the 4 different categories. Some of them, they have some rules, and you should go according to their rules, as he mentioned about here Arabic language, for Quran, because the Quran is an Arabic text. The second one, as Muslim, you should know the base of it. You should know the base of the Qur'an. You should know the base of the Holy Hadith. You should know the base of fiqh, and you name it. Many Muslims nowadays, they are wasted. They don't know how to pray. They don't know how to understand the Hadith. They don't know this. You don't know that. And they wasted some of those that Sayyidina Ibn Abbas said, no one has the excuse not to know it. Okay, then you have the specialty of it. Okay, we should have full recognition of the 2 aspects of it. Even someone may be specialized in certain matters, in this life, he should put in his mind that something may not be known to anyone except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's why Imam Malik, one of the most famous scholars, when he was asked about 48 mas'ala, in 32 of them he said, I don't know. Okay, and I think this graduation mentioned by Sayyidina Ibn Abbas regarding the interpretation of the Quran, I think it's applicable for all Islamic sciences, And that's why this student, he was described that he has daqa'iq al-ulum, okay? Yani here, he is well refined, and he knows some of those not known except by what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran, al-rasikhuna fil ilm, or those who are well established, in this regard. Okay. Then comes the other point, which we have a lot of controversy. To be honest with you, we have a lot of controversy about it in the books, and among the people. What is it? Gaining knowledge is much more important, or practicing it is much, much important. Okay. Generally speaking, I may not be able, to draw a line, for you, which is going to be quite obvious that this is light, this is white, and this is black, or whatever, As anything in this life, you are going to find the white and the black, and you are going to find the gray area there, okay? And here it's applicable, okay? Many of those who are highly educated, even in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described those who were the holder, of the previous books as two names. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Al-Rabbaniyun wal-Ahbar. As I said before, in the Qur'an, you are not going to find just putting word in, without any meaning. Each one, it has its own meaning, What's the difference between Rabbaniyun and Ahbar? Al-Rabbani, the one who practiced in his life his knowledge. And the best example of it is the Prophet ﷺ. Because this is our luck, as Muslim, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent the theory to us, which is the Qur'an al-Kareem. With it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent a man to show you how to practice all of these theories, mentioned in the Qur'an. Okay? And this is, I look at it as the most excellent example of Rabbani. Whereas Ahbar, they are quite knowledgeable, but they are not as such, in their practice. Okay? And this is, all of us, when you are given ijazah in Qur'an, let's say, you should ask yourself, how is my relation with the Holy Qur'an? Okay? For sure, many people, they find themselves deficient. Okay? But here, even the deficiency, it differs from one person to another. And in fiqh al-Hanafi, they said, the memorizer of the Qur'an, he shouldn't have 40 days without have complete khatam. This is mentioned in fiqh Hanafi books. Okay? And this is as the least required amount, of practice. Okay? Here, you have knowledge and you have practice. The Sufi people, they are the most one, to speak about combination of both of them. And that's why you find in Sufi books sometimes they condemn some of those who are highly educated. Why? Because they did not practice. Okay. To be honest with you, the cut-off I may not be able, but I look at it as you have something basic, in all aspects of knowledge, and you should practice it in your life. And you have something which is more refined, and more highly sophisticated one, and here you have the difference, between the people. And this should be applicable for your Islamic sciences also, okay? The one who is seeker knowledge, Islamic seeker knowledge, or student of knowledge, or this or that, he should find in himself the practice of it. And it comes from the very simple one. Some people, I have seen some of them, they learn tajwid, but they tell you, you are excused when you want to memorize, when you want to go over Surah Al-Baqarah, which you memorize and you are afraid that you may forget it. And they excuse you, you don't have to have tajweed. When you pray, you don't have to have tajweed. You see, you have many of these excuses, come. In my opinion, such excuses that are going to make that person, regardless of how excellent he is in his knowledge, is going to make him, not excellent in his recitation. Okay, as Ibn al-Jazari mentioned, it's a matter of training, and as it's applicable, to tajweed, which is, in my view, the most simple one, it's applicable to all aspects of the Qur'an. It's applicable to all aspects of fiqh, and you name it. You got this point? And that's why here, this student, he felt that he has daqa'iq al-ulum. Okay, these are the most refined one regarding ulum. Okay. Then he figured out, besides the daqa'iq al-ulum, what did he get, These are too important, Fada'il al-nafs. What the meaning of Fada'il al-nafs? Let's be simple, about it. The meaning of it, to have the characters. Okay? And here, one of the main matters, for sure, we have no doubt that our beloved Prophet ﷺ, he has the greatest characters ever. And you have Sayyidina Mu'az ibn Jabal, who is the head of all scholars, He was described that his character was quite excellent. You got this? And here, for knowledge and practice, you need the characters with them, okay? That's why he joined them here. Daqa'iq al-ulum wa fada'il al-nafs, okay? You should, all of us, I may not be able, to tell you what to do, but you should ask yourself and you should improve yourself, in this regard, okay? That whenever you should have the full recognition between the basic fundamental matters, and those who are daqa'iq al-ulum, that, I'm sorry to tell you, some may come to my office, or whatever. They speak about something, about Qur'an, I have inspected in Qur'an and I did see so and that, okay? Which is one of those most refined thing, in the Qur'an. Then you look at that person in his practice. His women, they don't put hijab, okay? He may not pray. Or what? Here for me there's a problem, okay? Here you went to the specialized one, but yet you did not build your base there. Personally, I may not criticize that person or condemn him, but inside my heart, to be honest with you, I'm not going to listen to him carefully or take whatever he speak about, seriously. Why? Because I don't see the trace of the Qur'an in his life, which for me is too important. And this is for all of us, whether you are going to be a teacher or not, whether you are going to be a sheikh or not, you should find, here, if you came here just to get ijazah, and be familiar with this book, Ayyuhal Walad, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us to understand it very well, you are loser. You should, after this session, you should feel it in your life, that some of my life has been changed, okay? Some of my dealings with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has been changed. Some of my practice has been changed, okay? Either physically or spiritually. And we should improve ourselves, And this is the mainstay of seeking knowledge, in Islam. The Prophet ﷺ gave this example, about someone, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not make any of the audience, as such, like a candle, You have the candle, in the old days, they don't have these lights. What's going with the candle? It's going to give light to everyone and burn itself. And the Prophet ﷺ gave this example to the one seek knowledge, and make everyone get benefit of him, and he will not get benefit of himself. And that's why Imam al-Ghazali mentioned here that the Prophet ﷺ said, Allahumma inna a'udhu bika min ilmin la yanfa. And we have the examples of it, This has been mentioned in certain verses in the Qur'an, in many ahadith and elsewhere. Okay, so here, firstly, have full recognition, about the fundamental matter, okay? You want to speak about the refined and high sophisticated thing, I have no objection, about it, but strive to fix your fundamental and basic essential matters, before speaking, about the refined thing. Okay? Why? Because this is what you are obliged to do. This is what you should apply to your life. Okay? This certificate may please someone, in this life, but it's not going to deceive Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when you go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as mentioned, by the Prophet, not going to look at your shape or at your body. It's going to look at your heart and your deeds, And this is the whole things, behind it, That's why you should find some, for sure, perhaps I am a bad person, but most of those who are knowledgeable, they are not going to practice all of their knowledge in their life. But at least you should improve yourself. You should have your day today, much better than yesterday. And you name it, to be improving all the time. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ said, as I mentioned yesterday, Man istawa yawmahu fahuwa maqbul. Those who, the one who has his activity today similar to his practice or activity to yesterday, he treated himself unjustly. He should try to get closer to Allah subhanahu. Then he mentioned a very important point, I think the whole audience, they believe in it, but in our practice we tend to forget it. What is it? Death per se highly accepted by everyone, even the non-believer. They are going to believe that they are going to die one day. Okay. Here, as Muslim, we know that after this we have something else to be done, something else to be met, We are going to move to another world. That's why in his question, this student of Imam al-Ghazali to his master, that what is beneficial for me for the coming period that I have. Okay, you as a humankind, you are not God, you are not Lord. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala never changed. But yourself as a humankind, we are going to change from one position to another. Okay, you have changed according to many scholars now for 7 or 8 stages, of different position, in this life, and you are going to find more extra 7 or 6 stages, of changes, in your life. And perhaps the most important one, what is it? As long as you are alive, you still have a chance, to change. You still have a chance to improve. You still have that chance to move yourself of being shaqi, go to hellfire, to be sa'id, to go to heaven. Okay, you still have all of these chances. Whenever you pass away, or the human can pass away, then this chance is over. It's not given. That's why the student, he asks what is beneficial for me in the hereafter. Okay, you have many of these knowledges, They may be beneficial to this life, but they are not going to be beneficial for the hereafter. I give a physical example of it. You have a physician, who spent, let's say, 20 of his years, studying in medical school and getting some specialty, and whatever. If this person moved to a world that there's no disease there, what's going to do with his specialty? No cancer, no flu, no diabetes, and you name it. What's he going to do with his specialty? Nothing. If you are civil engineer, and you are moved to a world, all the palaces has been well built there, and no need, of any engineer there. What you are going to do with it? Okay. So here, you should look to the knowledge that lasts with you. What is the most long-lasting knowledge you have in this life that may last forever for you? It's the knowledge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are going to pray, inshallah, as long as we are in this life, we are going to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But all of those great, one of the greatest matters in our life, they will come to an end. The last prostration ever done, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala manifests on the people, and they are going to make prostration. This is the very last prostration. After no prostration. That's why those who are lovers, of prostration, they do it now, You have a time, that you don't have an opportunity to do it, Do it now. Okay? And many of those great, I'm not putting them down, I may put down some of the life, sciences, but these are great sciences, They are mentioned in the Qur'an, but they have an end. And they are going to end, at that particular point. Your recitation of the Qur'an, your prayer, your whatever, all of these matters, they are going to come to an end. Except what? The knowledge in Allah. As narrated in one hadith, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is one of the greatest, or it is the greatest, position in the hereafter, when the people of heaven, they see Allah manifested to them, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, out of His generosity, will ask them, what do you want? Ask whatever you want to ask. Those people, inshallah, all of you will be of them, they have a lot of adab. They don't ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala out of adab, not out of anything else, till they check with their people who are knowledgeable in Allah what we should ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why in this hadith it has been highlighted that the one which is going to last for you, with you forever, is your knowledge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's why personally, I don't know about the others, I have a lot of concern, have a lot of worry about my knowledge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And to be honest with you, many of even the awliya, they may be titled as knowledgeable in Allah, and he doesn't know anything about Allah. Okay? And that's why, if you did not take from me, in this session, except to increase your knowledge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I think you have done something good, in your life. And this is what I had the main concern about it. And this is what has been mentioned in the Holy Hadith and by many scholars, that this is what is going to last for you. And here, the student, he has the main concern. Even though I collected very nice and very great issues, and pieces of knowledge, from you as my Shaykh Imam Al-Ghazali, and who is Imam Ghazali in his knowledge. But I thought, what is going to be beneficial for me for the hereafter? And this is, whenever you look at it, it's going to make you quite selective in your life. Firstly, you don't waste your time, in something which is not beneficial in these days, the coming days, which is for sure is going to come. And secondly, it's going to make you selective, when you have this. I'll give you an example about it. I don't know how much I'm accurate about this example, and you may correct me if I'm wrong. When I start learning Qur'an, I want to know about these people, I read some of their bibliography or their life or whatever, and really they amaze me a lot, because all of those reciters of the Qur'an, in the human standard, they were at the top of it. I'm sorry to tell you, correct me if I'm wrong. When I tried to find in those scholars in hadith, I did not find them as such. Why? I should ask myself, what's the reason? You believe in hadith. You look at the hadith as one great thing, came from the Prophet ﷺ. What's wrong with this? Why? Because the Qur'an has been transmitted, and kept from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why the people who are specialized in Qur'an, they don't spend a lot of time, by looking at this person and try to find out if this person is trustworthy or not, and you name it. When you move to hadith, you are going to find that people, most of them, they spend the most amount of their time, just to look at this person, how is he, and how much we can trust him, and they ignore what? Or they forget, not ignore, let's say. They forget the bulk of the hadith. What did the Prophet ﷺ say? This description, of hadith was mentioned in Qur'an as wisdom. The people, they said, whenever you have combination of kitab and hikmah in the Holy Qur'an, al-hikmah, the wisdom, is the prophetic tradition that you have. You don't find these people, they search, and go deeply, to understand this prophetic tradition. And in my view, at least, that's why they were not as high as the people of Qur'an. You got my point? Why? Because the people of Qur'an, they work for Qur'an a lot. And that's why they were sophisticated, The people of hadith, they did not do this, They get themselves busy with something else, Some may argue, they will say, this is beneficial, We should know what is authentic, what is not, what is sound, what is not. I fully agree with this, But this is going to be, as I said before, a knowledge that is going to have an end. Okay, inshallah, all of us, we are going to meet with the Prophet ﷺ. And you may ask him, about whatever hadith you want to know, if you want to ask him. And this business has an end, But there is a business that doesn't have any end, okay? Which is what? Gaining knowledge, in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This has no end of it, Again, don't misunderstand. And I'm not putting down any of those great or sacred sciences that we have, but you should have the recognition, firstly, about, as I said, fundamental and defined knowledge. Secondly, about what is going to last for you and what is not going to last for you. And that's what has been, at least in my view, highlighted, in that question. We'll move to another paragraph. If there is any question, let's answer it now, before moving. Yes, go ahead. Be loud in your voice. Go ahead. I think he needs the mic, perhaps.
Can you tell us how to gain knowledge in Allah, like how to gain...
Good question. How to gain the knowledge in Allah, right? In my imagination, you have many ways, of gaining your knowledge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In my understanding, I'm going to be too limited, okay? I'm not telling you this is the only way, to get knowledge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But in my understanding, I instruct the people, to recite Qur'an more. Have more recitation of the Qur'an. Even if you recite 20 juz, per day, make them 25. Okay? Recite more of the Holy Qur'an and have some night prayer. When we say night prayer, I was asked yesterday, is it Isha prayer or Fajr? No, it's neither Isha nor Fajr. Okay? Night prayer means Qiyam al-Layl. Or in Pakistani culture, they call it Tahajjud. Okay? Let's have some of this night prayer, practice, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These are in my mind, I'm not telling you these are the only way, of gaining knowledge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These are in my mind, the way to get to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala more, to have some privacy with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala overnight, in night prayer, and to have some recitation of the Holy Quran. Any other questions? No more? Yes? The two things, they are recitation of the Holy Quran and night prayer. And you may have some recitation of the Quran over the night prayer. The Prophet ﷺ, one night prayer, he recited Surah Al-Baqarah, Al-Imran, Al-Nisa, Al-Ma'idah, or Al-An'am. Okay, you may have combination of them in one action. Other questions? Move to the next paragraph.
When you talk about recitation of Quran, just reading the Quran or with explanation?
With what? With tajwid, explanation. This has been answered by Imam al-Nawawi. He said, the one who feel himself, easily understand the Quran, he should stop, and spend some time, to understand the Quran. The one who does not feel as such, let him have a plenty, of recitation without understanding. Here, Imam Nawawi gave two different answers to two different persons, and every one of us, is going to be familiar with himself, from what category is he. Other questions? Move to next paragraph. اعلم أيها الولد والمحب العزيز أطال الله بقاءك بطاعته وسلك بك سبيل أحبائه أن منشور النصيحة يكتب من معدن الرسالة إن كان قد بلغك منه نصيحة فأي حاجة لك في نصيحتي وإن لم يبلغك فقل لي ماذا حصلت في هذه السنين الماضية. أيها الولد، من جملة ما نصح به رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أمته وقوله عليه الصلاة والسلام علامة إعراض الله تعالى عن العبد اشتغاله بما لا يعنيه وإن امرأ ذهبت ساعة من عمره في غير ما خلق له من العبادة لجدير أن تطول عليه حسرته ومن جاوز 40 ولم يغلب خيره على شره فليتجهز إلى النار. وفي هذه النصيحة كفاية لأهل العلم.
No, my son and beloved friend, may Allah prolong your life in obedience to Him and guide you on the path of His beloved ones. Certainly all advice is laid open in the treasure vault of the divine message. If advice has reached you from there, then what need do you have of my advice? If, however, it has not reached you, then tell me, what have you acquired during these past years? O child, from the legacy of good counsel that the Messenger of Allah ﷺ has left for his followers is the following. A sign that Allah has turned away from man is his involvement with things that do not benefit him. And for a man who lets an hour of his life go by in things other than the service of his Creator, for which he has created, the prolongation of his anguish is appropriate. and who reaches the age of 40 and the good in him does not outweigh his evil, he should prepare to meet the fire. And in this there is plentiful advice for people of knowledge.
Again, few points here. We learn a lot of knowledge. We fear ourselves that we practice it. Just reminded me, once I was in Hajj, and I want to stone the at Jamrat al-Jamarat or whatever in Mina, because I'm left-handed, I'll do it like this, And a smart person came asking me, in Hajj, is it recommended to have it in the left hand or in the right hand? I told him in the right hand. He said, how come you do it in the left hand, you see? And here, what I'm trying to say, those who are knowledgeable, they think themselves, they practice their knowledge. But in many occasions, they don't practice it. And that's why one of the main important matters that I don't see the Muslims, they practice nowadays, to give advice to each other. Okay? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. Let's assume, which is, I think, perhaps impossible, to have the most highly experienced one, in education and knowledge and whatever. Is he obliged to attend Jum'ah prayer or not? He's obliged. Why? Because he should listen to someone else, when he gives his maw'idha. You see? And this is what we need. And as Imam al-Ghazali said, this is the way the Prophet ﷺ, they said, all of them, you recite the Qur'an, إِنِّي لَكُمْ وَأَنَا لَكُمْ نَاصِحٌ أَمِينٌ. Nasih. Giving you nasiha, giving you advice. And this is what you need, okay? So, I ask everyone and myself, at the beginning, let's please practice this. In my view, you may correct me if I'm wrong, we have buried, nasiha. No one is going to do, because I don't want someone, to be mad at me or feel something wrong, against me or whatever. That's why I save myself and I don't give nasiha. And by this, as if we have a deal, among ourselves, to bury this item which is very important one, and as Imam al-Ghazali mentioned, this is the way of the prophets, sallallahu alayhi ajma'in, to advise the other, to give them an advice. And that's why in some ahadith, you feel the Prophet sallallahu give you an advice, not instructing you that you should do this or that, as an advice because he was consulted, for certain issue or whatever of that regard. This is the first point. The second point, which again it's too important. Some people, they feel they are completely wrong. They feel that tasawwuf has nothing to do with Islam and it's something else, something strange, something weird, not related to Islam. What did Imam al-Ghazali establish here? That tasawwuf, all of it is taken from Islam. He said to his student, if you have been learning, with me for this long period of time and you did not yet know what I want to advise you, you haven't learned anything. In another word, what? I taught you about Holy Qur'an, I taught you about the Holy Prophetic tradition, or whatever of that regard. If you don't know how to work, up till now, that means you haven't got anything. In another word, everything mentioned in this small text, on the large text, Ihya Ulumuddin, or in other books, of Tasawwuf, they are derived from where? They are derived firstly, I'm not going to tell you everything of it. Firstly, they are derived from the Holy Qur'an and the prophetic tradition. And here, for me, this is confirmed, this statement from Imam al-Ghazali confirmed what has been mentioned by Imam al-Junayd, علمنا هذا مقيد بالكتاب والسنة. Our knowledge, namely tasawwuf, is established, or based on the Holy Quran and the prophetic tradition. And you have many of these comments, coming, and this should be quite clear, and I will be too happy, to answer any question if anyone has any doubt about it or whatever. It may be felt otherwise. It may be felt, since we are speaking about something spiritual or something hidden, that we do it, but when someone explains it to us, or we are faced with another person, we are going to find ourselves that we are really very bad practitioners, in doing it. Okay, I may feel happy, about myself when I have very quick 2 rak'ahs, overnight. When I meet with a person, who wake up, for 2 hours, before fajr, or 3 hours, and start reciting Qur'an and make prayer, I'm going to find myself way down. Okay, when I think myself that I'm specialized in the Qur'an, even though may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help me, to recite the Qur'an much more, and I'm faced with that person. Yes, I did see it in my naked eye, in this life. A person finish khatam every day. I'm not as such. I'm going to feel myself down. He's not only this person, rahimahullah ta'ala, he passed away. Whenever you enter his house, will make you at least, recite 1 page, of the Qur'an. Okay? And he's going to finish complete khatam. This is not by history, not by book. This is, I did see him, this person by naked eye. Okay? I know him very well. Rahimahullah ta'ala. Okay. So here, we may feel that we know something. We may feel that we practice something, but when we are given advice, let's put it the first one, let's put it practical. When we are given, advice from someone else, what's the first response we have? We are going to, I'm speaking about myself, I'm not speaking about your people. I'm going to defend myself. Listen, I am here, teacher of Quran, I'm this and that. What we are going to speak, I'm going to defend myself. Whether this right or wrong. Okay? The one who care about his hereafter, that is going to be stood up there, and interrogated by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, without even translator, between them, is going to have different story. I'm going to tell you about this practice. One day, we have one of our relative, pass away. And my family, they asked me, go to the barber, to have some haircut, for the janaza and whatever. I went there. The people, they are speaking in a way. I put in my mind, if they feel that they are going to die one day, they are not going to speak as such. What I'm trying to say, these people that I heard at the barber, they have the complete belief in this, but they tend to forget. And this is our problem, okay? Many of those, let's explain it as assets. Okay, we speak about the assets, we speak about the investment, we speak about the profit, the profits that we have in this life, and these are the assets. This is your assets, You believe in them, but we tend to forget them, and you are going to find yourself, in the hereafter as a loser if you did not apply them to your life. And I just gave you this example because of that death, at that particular day, really, this idea came to my mind. If these people, they believe that they are going to die, they are not going to speak as such, Why? Because this was brand new. But whereas when I go to the barber, and other occasions, I'm not going to care about whatever they speak about. You got this point? And here what I'm trying to say, when you receive an advice from someone else, rather than defending yourself, rather than putting yourself in good position or whatever, try to listen. Try to understand. Try to change in your life, All of you, if I told you, that I'm ma'soom, or I have no mistake, or what, do you believe me? No, for sure you don't believe. Since all of us, we agreed that we are not ma'soom, we have a lot of mistake, and you name it, that means we should improve ourselves. Okay, how to improve ourselves? One way is by giving advice to each other. And please revive what has been, buried by us, وَلَا حَوْلَ وَلَا قُوَّةَ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ. Then he mentioned this hadith from the Prophet ﷺ, and the cut-off in this hadith, when you reach 40 years old, I think some of the audience, they became 40 years, some they did not, Out of my experience, I may be wrong, when I was below 40 years, I look at it as the, the ceiling or the top, and everything is going to be changed in my life. I'm sorry to tell you, I did not do it. Okay, why? Because I keep promising me, even though I reach 40 years, I'm going to be 80 years. When I reach 80, I'm going to be 120, and you name it, as if I'm going to last forever, in this life, which is not the case. Okay, so I keep promising me, and this is promising myself, and this is what the Prophet ﷺ has summarized as tul al-amal. Okay, I'm not going to listen to those good instructor that given to me, because I feel I still have a plenty of life, to live, which is not the case. Okay, and that's why let's have, for those who did not reach 40, let's have it as a cut-off. In the old time, in the old days, they said the people of Medina, whenever they reach 40, they are going to consider themselves a dead person, They are going to leave their job, leave family, leave everyone, leave all of this matter to someone else to take care of them, and he's going to seclude himself, to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is Salaf. This is the real Salafiyah that we have, okay? These are the Salaf. This is their practice. Nowadays, unfortunately, no, I'm going to get myself involved. Regardless, I'm 60, 70, 80, I'm going to get myself, involved in many matters. Some of them may be beneficial. Many of them, they are waste of time, At least they are of no concern to me, which related to my hereafter. And that's why, and this is firstly mentioned in the Qur'an, حتى إذا بلغ أشده وبلغ 40 سنة. Okay, and this cut off has been mentioned in the Qur'an. When you reach 40, you should have some changes in your life. Changes, yes, changes which make you much closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I think this hadith speaking about this cut off that we have mentioned. Any question? أوكي. أيها الولد، النصيحة سهلة والمشكل قبولها، لأنها في مذاق متبعي الهوى مرة، إذ المناهي محبوبة في قلوبهم، وعلى الخصوص من كان طالب العلم الرسمي ومشتغلا في فضل النفس ومناقب الدنيا، فإنه يحسب أن العلم المجرد له سيكون نجاته وخلاصه فيه، وأنه مستغن عن العمل، وهذا اعتقاد الفلاسفة. سبحان الله العظيم. ألا يعلم هذا المغرور أنه حين حصل العلم إذ لم يعمل به تكون الحجة عليه آكد، كما قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم: أشد الناس عذابا يوم القيامة عالم لا ينفعه الله بعلمه. وروي أن الجنيد قدس الله سره رؤي في المنام بعد موته، فقيل له: ما الخبر يا أبا القاسم؟ قال: طاحت تلك العبارات وفنيت تلك الإشارات وما نفعنا إلا ركيعات ركعناها في جوف الليل.
O child, giving advice is very easy, but following it is difficult, because by tasting how it is to follow the lower desires once, the forbidden is rendered dear to the heart. This applies especially to one who seeks conventional knowledge and who engages himself in betterment of his personal circumstances and the exploits of the world, because he thinks that the bare knowledge he has saves and protects him, and that he is therefore not bound to act upon it. This is the philosophical way of thinking, God forbid. Does the arrogant person not know that if he acquires knowledge and then does not practice it, it will certainly be evidence against him, as stated by the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? The Prophet said, the most severe punishment on the day of judgment will befall the scholar whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not benefit him from his knowledge. It has been related that Junayd, may Allah sanctify his secret, appeared in someone's dream after his death and was asked, what is the news, Abu al-Qasim? He replied, this and that interpretation went astray, and this and that indication have vanished. And the only thing that benefited us were the prayers that we performed in the dead of the night. Ruka'at is more couple of rak'ahs performed in the night.
Again, I'm going to highlight 2 points. Firstly, many of us, they may know the nasiha that I'm going to advise or whatever, But as I said before, we tend not to accept it for ourselves. We accept it for the others. I have this problem, you see. I give a lot of duru's, to some of my people or friends or whatever, Sometimes I find a problem that I should speak up about it, And I hate, because I'm sorry, I don't want to excuse myself, but nowadays, direct nasiha is not going to be beneficial. What I try to say, in my dars, I include this wording or this nasiha, What problem did I face? Really, this is my experience. Correct me if you have different experience. All the audience, they feel that this nasiha for themselves, except the one I mean, for this nasiha. I feel it's not for him. I face this frequently. Okay. That's why, whenever you hear any criticism or any nasiha or whatever, feel as if in the whole, no one else except yourself. And you are the one who is addressed with it, okay? Don't say, I am knowledgeable, I am good practitioner, I am this and that. No, feel as if all of it directed to yourself. And I have tried, to mention it, because for me it's complete failure, when you have this feeling, among the audience, I ask them, all of you, just feel that everything mentioned is a direct advice to himself, or criticism, or some instruction, or whatever, of that regard. And this is really, it's very important. It's not the matter of knowing the advice, it's the matter of applying it to your life. It's a matter of criticizing yourself. And one of the first one, to speak about it, Sayyidina Umar al-Khattab. Who is Sayyidina Umar al-Khattab? Sayyidina al-Khattab was given the news from the Prophet ﷺ that he's one of the people of heaven. Regardless of what's going to happen to him, he's one of the people of heaven. Yet, he would like, this is my analysis, he would like to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with pure heart and with pure characters. And that's why he used to say, in front of everyone, Rahim Allah mra'an ahda ilayya ayubi. Ask the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to come down to the one who present to me, my deficiencies. Why? You are going to go to heaven, if the target is the heaven. No, I would like to meet with Allah. I would like to face Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with much more better, purified heart and purified deeds, and you name it, of this regard. Okay. So here, Imam Ghazali highlighted in very important way, that it's not the matter of knowing it, it's the matter of applying it to yourself. Okay. And that's why I said everyone should feel that it came to himself. And then he mentioned, this is the main problem that I mentioned, at the introduction, between the Sufi and the other people. What is it? Is it a matter of knowledge only, or matter of knowledge and practice? The Sufi people, they tend to combine both of them. Okay, they don't care a lot, about knowledge without practice. They would like to have the knowledge and practice. Those among yourself, who are physicians, here, they fully understand that in board certification, they ask you to get yourself trained, for a few years, And this is when you want to apply it to your Islamic training, you should train yourself. You should apply some of this knowledge given to you, apply it, to your life, by one way or another. Any question? No questions? Okay.
All right, inshallah, we're going to stop here. We're going to break for 10 minutes. For the people who came in a little bit late, please go ahead and step outside and we'll register you guys, make sure everything is in order. We're going to have a little bit of nasheed break with Sidi Muaz, inshallah.
We'll reconvene at 11:20, inshallah. 11:20, we'll restart the dubs. Now's the time if you want to go to the bathroom, if you want to get some snacks. There's some donuts, some cookies, some tea and coffee, so feel free to get some.